I'm going to race through some key points here because I want to give you as much time as possible to do what I've asked you to do this week, and that's be very self-directed. We've got a very broad area we're dealing with here of digital activism and online social movements. Read that essential reading, get a clear idea of what a social movement is as defined in that reading, and then identify an issue or example of particular interest to you and research it. Find some scholarship on it, find a great news article. Tweet things out there for sure, but blog about it. I strongly encourage you to blog about it and show the engagement with the unit materials and the materials that you bring into the unit and share with other students in this way. I won't make this video immensely stimulating visually because I really want the points I'm making to hit home. You might even like to take some notes, particularly when I touch on some assignment advice later on. I've only ever seen 1 or 2 students who've taken notes from relevant parts of my videos in the past, and they've no doubt benefited immensely from doing so. If you note down key things here, then it's less likely you'll need to come back to these videos later. And let's be honest, it's not very likely that many people will go back to earlier videos in later weeks. I also want to reiterate something that I've been saying in seminars here, and that's that it's not too late to participate online in this unit. So students who haven't been very active up to this point do still have a very real, a very genuine chance to network with their peers and get active online, which, as I've said from the very beginning of trimester, is the central point of this unit, to learn by making, sharing and connecting across digital media platforms. Now, let's get to some assignment advice. But first, let's go to a commercial break.
Good afternoon and welcome to another Nappy Sand Door Challenge, where we put our product to the test through your clothing.
Actually, no, that's way too embarrassing. I still remember the days from year 10 through to year 12 in high school when my brother and I would avoid giving oral presentations for assessment by making very amateur movies. We would carry around the huge camera from the school library on our shoulder and then sit up all night with 2 VCRs, that's video cassette recorders for any young viewers who don't know, and edit some very scrappy footage together. We had a lot of fun doing this, but when I started making digital movies a little over 12 months ago, things had obviously changed immensely. Most of you won't realise how stunning the opportunities are that you have access to these days, particularly when contrasted with what was available 10 years ago. And think about how user-friendly and amazingly inexpensive, if not completely free, things are. Gee, I do get excited sometimes, don't I? Another key point is to think of the video as the main part of your assignment. The written critical reflection on your blog is important, but your argument, analysis, use of research and so on needs to happen in your video. Don't think the video and critical reflection are doing the same thing. Your critical reflection can't be just a transcript. I've given some very clear instructions in that instructions document of what needs to be covered in the video and in the written component of your blog. And just to mention briefly, the focus. Don't try to do an entire topic or even an entire subtopic within that. You might even like to consider the more specific study questions at the end of the study notes documents and how they might raise different ideas and concerns that you could apply to that broader question that you need to answer in your video. As I said though, you don't have to frame it as a question in your video. It's going to be obvious whether your video is relevant to that question or not. I really want to stress here the proper use of material. I have seen pretty much everything done in the past, and we have to be really strict on you because of the clarity of the instructions and the importance of conforming to these instructions for the life skills that we're trying to develop in this unit. By the way, not being able to screen capture websites means not being able to film them being displayed on a screen either. I've seen quite a few short student videos shared on Twitter doing this in the past week, and some were using music that they didn't have access to from Creative Commons licenses. I can't and don't want to police everything, though conforming to the guidelines in your formal assessment, your final assignment is crucial. You should also consider the kind of habits that you want to develop yourself when creating media to ensure that you demonstrate through your use of material what Astrid stressed in our earlier discussion of copyright. She said that you want to look professional. Demonstrating a strong sense of professionalism has a lot to do with how we use media content. On another note, if you're going to be on camera, and this is a really great thing to try out if you haven't done it much or at all before, think about how you're presenting yourself. Don't do something silly like wearing a hat that's going to cover part of your face with shadow. I'm sure that when I did this, and I did it intentionally by the way, people did notice. Even if you still watch the video, you did notice, and it's not a great strategy. And obviously don't eat on screen either, or do anything that makes it look like you're not taking the task as seriously as you might. In saying this doesn't mean you have to take an ultra serious tone in your video though. You can have some fun with your video, but just make sure that it covers all the requirements in the assignment. You need to have an argument, you need to have an analysis, you've got to make your case. And lastly, as I've said elsewhere, get an early start. Think, plan, script, storyboard, whatever you're going to do, get an early start. The earlier you do these kinds of things, the better your video will be. And the less likely you'll lose marks when you have to figure out something new when something goes wrong at the last minute. As I said in 2015, when reflecting on the usually very large number of students who do lose marks for lateness, and it really only takes 2 days to lose marks that are equivalent to a whole grade. You could go from a 70 down to a 60. So make sure that you do start early. Thanks for watching. I hope that's been useful and you've even found some things to take some notes of. Many students about to undertake this assignment have never made a video before and are understandably quite anxious about it. Trust me, get an early start, practice some things, and you'll be fine. I've seen students year after year making their first video, putting a lot of time and effort into it, and finding it an immensely valuable experience. Good luck.